You ever have that feeling? You're in a crowded room, maybe even at a party, but you're just on your phone scrolling through hundreds of friends, and yet you feel completely alone. It's this really weird modern paradox, isn't it? We've never been more connected technologically, but so many of us feel more disconnected than ever. Today, we're going to try and make sense of this mirage of modern connection. And this quote from Allied Academies just nails it. It really gets to the core of the problem. We're living in a time that pushes these shallow digital connections. It's all a numbers game, right? More friends, more followers, more likes. But while we're all chasing that quantity, what are we losing in terms of actual quality? And that leads us to the big question for this whole explainer, the one I think we all kind of need to ask ourselves, honestly. Are we actually scrolling our way into isolation? Is the very thing that's supposed to bring us all together actually just pushing us further apart? To figure that out, let's dive into our first section, the connection paradox. We're going to look at the sheer scale of our digital lives and the huge contradiction that's sitting right at the center of it all. Just look at this number for a second. 5 billion. According to the Our Digital 2024 report, that's how many people are on social media right now. That is a staggering milestone. We are all part of this massive global neighborhood of billions of people, and we can reach them with just a click. But here's the thing. Does living in the neighborhood mean we actually know our neighbors? And this slide lays out the problem perfectly. On the left, you've got the metrics of quantity. Hundreds of online friends, that endless scroll for a quick hit of validation, a bunch of virtual followers. But on the right, you have what actually makes up a quality connection. Deep, supportive relationships, real conversations and those real-world bonds that actually get us through tough times. We're chasing the numbers on the left, but what we're all truly craving is the real stuff on the right. So why? Why does this paradox even exist? Well, that brings us to section 2, the performance of self. This is where we get into the psychology of it all, why so many of our online interactions can just feel so hollow. And a lot of it has to do with the different hats we wear online. First, there's this internal pressure. We all know this. We all do it. It's called the curated self. It's that polished, perfected version of us, right? Our little digital shadow self that we spend so much time building. It's not exactly a lie, but it's not the whole story either. It's an incomplete picture. We're sharing the wins, the perfect vacations, the witty comebacks, but we're hiding the messy, uncertain human parts of ourselves. And let's be honest, it's really hard to form a real connection with someone's highlight reel. Then there's the other side of the coin, this external dynamic. We form what psychologists call parasocial relationships. These are these one-sided bonds we form with influencers, with celebrities, even with characters in a TV show. We pour real emotional energy into people who have no idea we even exist. It feels like friendship, it mimics the real thing, but there's no give and take, which just blurs the line even more between a genuine connection and its digital echo. Okay, I know this all sounds a little bleak, but it is not all doom and gloom. Deep, authentic connection absolutely can happen online. It just takes a totally different way of thinking about it. So let's move into section 3 and talk about how we can get beyond the feed. So here's the crucial thing we have to understand. It's the design of these digital spaces. Most of the big social media platforms are built for passive consumption. They want you to scroll, to watch, to react with a quick emoji. They're not necessarily built for you to collaborate, to build something together, and to truly connect on a deeper level. But now, check this out. It's a completely different story in other online spaces. A digital society study found that online games like World of Warcraft can become these really vibrant social ecosystems. And why is that? Well, the goal isn't just to be seen. The goal is to work together on quests, to solve problems as a team, to actually rely on each other to win. When a platform is built around active cooperation, real friendships can and do form. So there's the proof. It is possible. The real question is, how do we take that principle and apply it to our own digital lives? Well, welcome to section 4, Forging Real Bonds. This is the practical how-to part. And listen, if you're still skeptical that deep relationships can be built online, let me tell you this story from Joan Gary about her friendship with an author named Beth Cantor. For more than a decade, they built this incredible, supportive friendship pretty much entirely over email, text, and Zoom. They talked about everything, career stuff, their kids, their health, and here's the crazy part. They had never even met in person. When they finally did at a conference, it felt like they'd known each other forever, because they had. So how do we do that? How do we build that? Well, Psyche Guides offers a really simple but powerful 3-step process. First, Ask better questions. Use those open-ended questions, who, what, where, why, how, to get past the boring small talk. Second, actually listen. Focus on what they're saying and ask follow-up questions that show you're genuinely curious. And third, you have to be willing to share about yourself too. That reciprocity is where intimacy really gets built.
We can also just get more creative with how we reach out. Joan Gary suggests mixing it up beyond just plain old text messages. Send a quick voice note or a short video. Share a cool article or a TED Talk you think they'd like. Use some humor. A photo with a funny caption can go a long way. And here's a totally radical idea. You could actually pick up the phone and call someone. I know, crazy, right?
But all of these tips, all of these strategies, they all depend on one final, absolutely crucial ingredient. And that brings us to our last section, the vulnerability playbook. This is the key that unlocks pretty much everything else.
Okay, so we need to completely reframe how we think about vulnerability. I think a lot of us are taught that it's a weakness, something you should hide. But research from the Sweet Institute and City University shows that's completely backward. It's the total opposite. It's the willingness to show up as your authentic, messy, imperfect self. It's not weakness, it's an act of incredible strength, and it is the absolute foundation of trust.
I mean, just look at this example of vulnerability in action. Back in 2016, the social media company Buffer had to lay off 10 people. Now, instead of some sterile corporate press release, the CEO, Joel Gascoigne, wrote this radically transparent blog post. He openly detailed every single mistake the company made. Their growth was too aggressive, there was a lack of accountability, their financial model was flawed. He was just completely vulnerable. And what happened? Did everyone freak out? No, just the opposite. The data is crystal clear on this. Consumers actually reward that kind of transparency with loyalty, and they're way more willing to give you a second chance. By being vulnerable, Buffer didn't lose trust, they built it. And that exact same principle applies to our personal relationships. Vulnerability is how you build trust, period. So when you boil it all down, it's about intention. These tools, these phones, these apps, they're not going anywhere. But how we choose to use them, that's entirely up to us. So the next time you pick up your phone, the next time you're about to open an app, just take half a second and ask yourself this one simple question. Is this next click going to build a bridge to a real connection? Or is it just going to build another brick in a wall of isolation? The choice, really, is yours.